Hello, Doug Lowe here with Artisan Construction in Charlottesville, Virginia. Today we're looking at water heater usage of electricity, and we want to show you some ways to save some energy, cut your utility bill. But above all, before you start working on any kind of water heater at all, you want to either cut off the gas or cut off the electricity. In this case, we'll be working on an electric water heater, so we're going to go to the breaker panel and cut off the electricity. You should be able to find on your listing here where the water heater is located. In this case, it's at key 32 and 34, which is right here. And so we want to simply cut the water heater off before we do any other work. Before we go to the trouble of wrapping the blanket around the water heater, we need to remove these two front panels here, because under these two front panels we can make an adjustment to the temperature of the water heater. And once you've covered it up, it's going to be kind of hard to get to those. Not that you couldn't, but it'd be difficult. So we'll first take off these covers. Okay. Now that we pulled the electric cover off the water heater, you'll see underneath here that you find these two devices. You can set it at various levels here. This one's actually already set pretty low, and that's really what I wanted to check before we turned it on. But you can see that this can be much hotter, but it can actually be turned with a simple screwdriver. The reason there are two panels on here is because there are two separate heat coils on most 52-gallon electric water heaters. And a 52-gallon water heater is a pretty typical size. But again, we'll look underneath here and we'll look to see if it's set. In both cases, these were already set fairly low, so that's a good sign. So now we're going to wrap it, and there is one distinction we need to make. On an electric water heater, you can also wrap the top of the water heater, but if you have a gas water heater, you do not want to wrap the top because the way the exhaust works in there could be a safety issue.
That's my function.
And you may have to cut a little bit to fill in over the whole top. While Kevin and my assistant here is helping out finish this up, most of the water heater insulation blankets that you can buy at the home supply stores come with the tape that you need to finish connecting it. You can see here some of the tape, and it comes with a peel-off backing. And then you usually have a little bit of extra, and that'll allow us to cover the top of the water heater. And you want to do it as neatly as you can just so it looks good when you're done. In addition to wrapping the water heater, which we're still working on here, when you're working with your water heater, you might want to buy some of this pipe insulation that's also readily available at the building supply places. This piece I think was about $2, so it's very cheap, and you don't need to wrap the cold line. This is the cold line coming into this water heater, and this is the hot line going out. You don't have any reason to wrap the cold line necessarily, but you want to wrap the hot line going out. So here we are cutting some of the insulation off. It's very simple to cut. And then there's an adhesive inside the pipe. There's your knife back. And we'll put our first piece up to here. I'm going to try to cover this bend if it'll work and take it over to here, and then we'll cut some more for up there. But you can see there's an adhesive inside the pipe. You peel that back and you wrap it around the pipe. And you go as far as you can with the pipe insulation to anywhere that you can reach it and find it in your basement or your crawl space. And that'll go a long way. It's cheap insulation, it's easy to do, and it would be additional savings at preserving that hot water temperature without having to turn on the electricity so much. We had to cut a small piece to finish out this one little area. I'll show you how the peel and stick tape works. We just peel this off and try to do it in here as neatly as we can. Well, I'd like to make it look as pretty as I can. That's probably the best we can do with this, but now the whole water heater is wrapped. The piping up here is wrapped, and we should be good to go and enjoy a lot of savings from there. So in closing, we've got the hot water heater wrapped in a blanket. Because it's electric, we wrap the top. One thing I want to point out near the bottom is we left this little bit of exposure for what we call the drain valve or boiler valve. Down here you got to be able to access that if you ever need to drain the water heater for some reason, or you want to hook a water hose up to that connection. But the last thing we need to do is cut the power back on, and we should be good to go. Remember, if you have a gas water heater, don't cover the top.